since we have you here today, we've had news all throughout the summer about big name players making the move to Saudi Arabia. The Saudi takeover has been happening, the mass exodus of high level players to Saudi Arabia. Most recently, we've seen the likes of Sadio Mane and Jordan Henderson this week join the Saudi Arabian clubs. And most notably, of course, this summer was Karim Benzema and N'Golo Kante, Steve. So I need to know from you, is the Saudi League a long-term competitor amongst the top leagues, and how are you finding this mass exodus of players to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I think we've had the same attitude towards the Saudi Arabia probably over the past 3, 4 years, kind of like the Chinese Super League. Maybe one player goes to the league, gets a huge paycheck, and we just kind of don't really think about it. Um, but we have to pay attention after this summer. This summer has absolutely been insane. There is so much spending going on in the Saudi Arabian Pro League. To which your question about a long-term competitor, I mean, obviously they're nowhere at the level now, but if they're investing this much money on players that a lot of teams and the Premier League would like to have, as a Tottenham fan, give me Sadio Mane. I want Karim Benzema. You know, if Real Madrid could have another year of Karim Benzema, I'm sure they would take him as well. So, um, as much as we like to think that players have this kind of desire to keep winning and winning and winning. Money also talks, which has kind of been a little bit disappointing for me as a fan. It something to take note too is a lot of these players are over 30 years old who are moving to Saudi Arabia. We've heard rumors about the comical amount of money that Kylian Mbappe has been offered to join the Saudi league. We saw Messi choose MLS over the Saudi Arabian league as well. Um, but yeah, it's really weird because I'm starting to think more and more like in 5 years' time, if the spending is still there and the investment is still there, and Saudi Arabia, these football owners have more money than any other football owners in the world. Like not even close. I think Newcastle's owners are more rich than every other team in the Premier League putting their finances combined. So it's not a question of money; it's a question of spending. We're seeing it this past summer, um, and who knows? Maybe in 10 years' time, we're talking about Saudi Arabia maybe breaking into that. Maybe they're at the level of the Portuguese league, or maybe they're at the level of the Dutch league. I mean, I don't know. It's really crazy to see the amount of money that's coming out of the United Arab Emirates and the Middle East into taking stars, not washed up players, but stars from these top 5 leagues in Europe. So it's absolutely wild. I personally don't like it, but who knows? I mean, I'm sure a lot of fans hate the Premier League because of the exact same thing. The amount of money spent, attracting all the players. Why should they have all the fun? I'm sure that's what Saudi Arabia is thinking. And so they're not going to feel bad about it. They're just going to keep buying world class players to get eyes on their league. So, in some way, I'm kind of like kudos to y'all, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You can ask even someone like Javier Tebas, the president of La Liga, and he's been crying lyrically about the Premier League buying up the best players in the world and stuff. And now it's happening in a sort of similar fashion. I think the most controversial ones so far this week have been Sadio Mane, a guy who's had a great career at Liverpool for so long and had one kind of shifty year at Bayern Munich, and suddenly he's being shipped off to Al Nassr. And then you look at someone like Jordan Henderson on the other side of the spectrum, as far as maybe not football ability, but more so the human rights part. He's been someone that's been so outspoken about the LGBT community, being someone that stands up for pride, wearing the armband during the World Cup, all these different things. And then suddenly money starts to begin to talk a lot louder than anything that he said before. And it's been interesting to see those things play out. Obviously, people are looking to their futures for their families. And, this term that's being thrown around a lot has been this idea of generational wealth. And players are changing the lives of so many people around them. Sadio Mane has already done so much back at home with his families. And this might even be a bigger move for him. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it from all these different angles, and you do have to be critical. You have to criticize, it's not the best for the sport. This sports washing endeavor that Saudi Arabia has been going on with soccer, and now you involved with golf, and you look at other things that they're trying to invest in and change, where it's really, it's not the healthiest thing. It's hard to compete for lower league teams. It's hard to compete for even teams breaking through in the Premier League, you look at like someone like Nottingham Forest, the Burnleys, teams like that where they can't compete trying to spend 35 million, 50 million, 80 million, 300 million for someone like an Mbappe, Messi, whoever you want to talk about. Um, so yeah, it's not going to be sustainable. It's sustainable for the Saudi Arabians because their bank is practically limitless, right? But I have to say, it's just continuing to be more troublesome, and we'll see how it affects the likes of UEFA. What are they going to do about the involvement of Saudi Arabia in the future? Are they going to say, completely axing them from any availability in the Champions League? We see Saudi Arabia try to create their own Champions League completely. These are things that we have to keep an eye on because moving forward, things are going to get quite tricky. I know that to be sure. Brandon, anything you want to add on the Saudi Arabian transfer rumors?
Um, I would just say the rumors have been crazy and the things that have happened are absolutely crazy. The thing that really shocked me, I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. Lucas Del Rayon, Columbus Crew's best player, just got a massive payday. I think he went to Saudi Arabia, I'm pretty sure. And I was thinking about it. I was like, you know how much of a massive step down that is from the MLS to the Saudi Pro League?
Yeah.
It didn't really hit me until I saw that transfer. And I was like, what in the world? And then you start thinking about Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or, Karim Benzema, like Real Madrid Champions League winner Karim Benzema, Sadio Mane in his prime, arguably. You can go back even more. Ruben Neves. I mean, there's all these
Yeah.
players that are going over there for massive, massive amounts of money. And another thing I noticed, which other people might not be noticing, they've only gone to 5 teams. All the ones you've heard about, all the transfers you heard about have only gone to 5 teams in the league. There's not only 5 teams in the league. I think there's 17 or 18 or something like that. So that's just weird. So it's not like the whole league is benefiting. Not all the owners of those teams are like spending cash, right? Like crazy. So I just don't know what the angle is. I don't understand it. Because like imagine if an MLS team came in and wanted to buy Ruben Neves. That would never happen. Imagine them trying to buy Karim Benzema or Sadio Mane right now. That would never happen. That might not happen in 10 years. And MLS is on a skyrocket trajectory, hopefully. Um, yeah, I don't really understand. I don't really understand. I mean, I know it's money, but now it's just stupid. It's just stupid amount of money. It is just an absolute crazy amount of money that we can't really understand. And it's not this, I'm changing my life with this amount of money. You've been on £1,000,000 a week. Like you will be completely fine for the next 4 or 5 generations. Like you could spend $1,000,000 every day if you wanted to, and you still wouldn't run out. Like, so what is it? What is it? I think, what I eventually think will happen is this Super League is going to come through the Saudis. They're going to propose it. There's going to be a lot of money backed, a lot of TV deals, and we will see another attempt to make a league separate from the Champions League, where maybe it's a world league, something like that. The MLS could get involved. That'd be absolutely crazy, but where it's attracting all of these teams from all over the world, right? Bigger than just Europe. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a weird ride. It's offsetting to me personally, but yeah, I'm just still trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to close things out a little bit, but the domino effect it feels like on so many different levels. You talk about Sheikh Mansour coming back in 2012, buying Manchester City, him just introducing so much money to that club, the repercussions of that happening. And you start to think about the back end of still being on the pandemic financially of all these teams and leagues that still have not recovered from the pandemic. You look at the likes of Barcelona, La Liga as a whole, Serie A as a whole, these leagues are still grappling with the effects of the pandemic and still trying to get fans back in stadiums and making money and being profitable. And so, yeah, when a team comes in willing to offer buku amount of money for players that, like you mentioned, most are past their 30s and may not be great long-term investment, it's hard to say no to a quick influx of cash. And not even to mention all the ramifications, including financial fair play. Teams that we mentioned like Chelsea and Newcastle, what are they doing to potentially be skirting these FFP regulations to
Yeah.
help improve their own financial standing in the Premier League specifically? it is crazy. I don't think it's like I already said, it's not healthy. It's going to be crazy. I don't think you're far off, Brandon, with the whole Super League idea. I think that's certainly coming. I would probably guarantee almost in less than 3 years we'll see some big ramp up. But it's interesting. It's interesting. And this summer certainly has shown that they are not messing around. They do want to build this league into something special. Cristiano already had his quote talking about how when I came, the rest would come, showing his hubris. Certainly, he got humiliated in some of those friendlies he got to play in this summer.